welcome. We are coming to you from the NASSCOM Technology Leadership Forum, and I have with me a team of very, very specialized people who've been talking IT, AI, new tech, digital for the last 48 hours. So let's see what more we can bring out of them. I have with me Debjani Ghosh, the President of NASSCOM, Rostow Ravanan, CEO and MD of Mindtree, and Keshav Murugesh, who's wearing two hats today, Vice Chairman of NASSCOM and of WNS, of course. So, Debjani, first question to you. We spoke about this yesterday, but tell me, you've changed the entire format today with respect to guidance. Now, you're also considering a whole host of technology companies which go beyond just IT services and IT exports. Would bringing back guidance make sense to you later, or is it just this year?
No, we've done with guidance. We are done with guidance because guidance was done in the past for a certain reason, and the methodology we had used had worked at that point in time. This industry has transformed tremendously, and one of the reasons we've had such a fabulous year is because this industry is transforming, and because it's the digital at scale that we talk about is actually becoming a reality. So we have to now look at the industry in a very different way. So the guidance is gone. What we are looking at is trying to understand what the leaders out there are thinking about. What are the sentiments? What sentiments do they have with respect to economic growth, with respect to business growth, and a host of other things. So the CEO survey is a much better way of understanding the outlook. And end of year, we'll absolutely come back and look at how the industry has performed.
Okay, one of the people who performed well is with us. Rostow, it's been an interesting year. As we got into the last 3 months of 2018, there was a lot of talk about the possibility of a slowdown around the corner by 2020 or by the end of 2019. A couple of market watchers have hinted at a recession even. Are your clients preparing for it? We've spoken about uncertainties, but are your clients also preparing for the eventuality of a recession? And are you thereby prepared for that possibility?
I think our clients are telling us that they are preparing for a range of scenarios. Like what you heard in the whole excitement of NTLF over the last 2 days, is that technology is empowering businesses to do so many things that they never thought was possible in the past. Every single speaker is telling you, from the enterprise world, is telling you that technology is part of the core business strategy for all their enterprises right now. Every enterprise wants to become a technology company in some form or fashion there. So I think the tech industry will do well, but growth rates will maybe X this year, Y next year, etc., etc. But I think the future for our industry is incredibly bright, both for service providers like us, but more importantly for talent that wants to come into this industry. They have the obligation, no doubt, to stay relevant on a skills perspective, but those who are willing to make that investment in themselves, I think it's a great industry to be in.
But what are clients most worried about right now? When you talk to your clients as you started 2019, what are they most worried about when it comes to the macro headwinds? And are they preparing for a recession, or is that just the media and the analyst noise?
I think that's, like I said, our clients are telling us that they're preparing for a range of scenarios. Now, things like the macro, like Brexit and some of the sort of moves like that are definitely one of the things that they're worried about. Changes in the interest rate is something that many people are worried about. For banks, for example, an increase in interest rates helps them become more profitable. But for enterprises, then, cost of funds go up. And so, like I said, economics, politics, all of that, are factors that they're looking for as well. But they're also worried about the other side. For example, look at many industries that are getting disrupted by startups. And therefore, they're saying that if I get too caught up in this risk and don't make the investments and don't leverage the opportunity, there is a risk of that as well. So I think we are now trying to live in a multipolar world and trying to take any of these as one single dimension and just make that as your single planning assumption. I think it just seems illogical.
So taking from that point, Keshav, NASSCOM has very clearly laid out what uncertainties are there. In that case, if I were to take the point that Rostow made, are Indian IT players now better prepared and more widespread across the board to handle uncertainties now than they were in 2016 to 2018 period?
Yeah, so first I'll start by giving you a sense of how my clients are interacting with us in terms of this, this big concern about recession, right? I actually think that CEOs on the client side are much more focused on the disruption out there in the marketplace. You know, who is their new competition? Are they investing enough in technology? Are they being relevant to the appropriate set of customers? Things like that, as opposed to really focusing on what will happen, which is out of their control, right? Yeah. And in fact, I would say that that is actually creating lots of new opportunities for all of us, and particularly in the BPM sector. As people say that the chips are going to get a little worse, actually people start spending more because now they need to save a little more money as opposed to being only efficient, right? So I would say some of it actually augurs very well, if you ask me, from an industry point of view. And to your specific question about how the industry from India itself has positioned itself, as Debjani laid out, if you've been following what all has been happening in the last 2-3 days at NASSCOM, it's all about what we are doing about creating centers of excellence, what we're doing around talent, what we're doing around reskilling, how are we working with the government in order to make sure that we're partnering them on the new exciting areas of AI and things like that. And I think every company that's a member of NASSCOM actually has been investing in so many of these areas, which means I feel extremely confident that the industry is very well set to continue to take a leading stance, irrespective of how the business climate is outside.
So one minor comment to Keshav's one. I think Keshav said it really well. I think you have to just realize that in different economic scenarios, growth rates could be different. Now, maybe if there is no recession, you'll grow at X. But if there was a recession, maybe you'll have 0.8X. If you leave the growth rates aside, that's the only implication of the recession. I think the industry has proven that we are extremely resilient.
Keshav, if I could bring you in on the skilling gap. The next big challenge, of course, is preparing employees, preparing companies to have the skill set to address the technologies that can wither any uncertainty and create that foundation, correct? What is NASSCOM at this point in doing, and what are companies doing? What is WNS doing to be able to bridge that gap?
So I think the biggest initiative that NASSCOM is driving under the leadership of Debjani is the overall, Future Skills Initiative, which I think is an absolutely outstanding initiative. If you look at the way she has envisioned it and the way she has brought all the companies together in terms of collaborating with each other, just like we created NASSCOM many years ago. We have actually collaborated with each other. We are now deciding which are the specific areas of technology that we want to enable for our, teams across all the companies. And then there is curriculum that is being set on a platform basis such that anyone working in the member companies can actually skill themselves up to a certain level in those technologies. And then each company can thereafter differentiate based on how they want to use that skill set in order to compete in the marketplace. I think that's one of the biggest initiatives that's being driven, and I'm very excited about it, and WNS is a partner of the Future Skills Initiative. Having said that, even within the company, it is the biggest area of investment. So if you look at my 38 or 39,000 employees at this point in time, we now have 5 or 6 programs that touches every one of our employees, starting with domain specialism and future skills at this end to something called Aspire to the next level, going all the way to a Harvard training program that is for my leadership team. And along with this, we run something which is very exciting, which I'll share with Debjani somewhere along the way, something called WNS Education that allows every one of our employees who are actually running operations to interact with the latest digital models, learn on the job, and do some classroom kind of training as well, and get certified as they progress. So it's probably the biggest area of investment.
Okay, I want to talk more to Debjani about what is happening as far as the government partnership is concerned. Debjani, AI for All, interesting move, and a lot of efforts are being put in place. Yes. Is it too late though? Are we ready in tandem with the global ecosystem of being able to embrace these technologies?
So I think one of our speakers today beautifully said it. There is no finishing line for AI.
Okay.
So it'll never be too late.
It's infinity.
AI is going to keep evolving. You can commit at any point in time. What you have to do is you have to understand at the point in time that you are coming in, what are the important factors, what are the levers that you want to pull or push in order to get that competitive advantage, right? I think, so therefore, there's no such thing as coming in late or coming in early, because it's going to continue to evolve, right? And it's going to continue to change. So countries, companies will have to continue to keep learning and keep figuring out how to stay relevant. I think for India, at this point in time, there are two areas which excites me tremendously. One is talent. Now, while we all talk about the talent crisis, etc., the fact is India has future skills, which is supported by government. I don't think there are too many countries out there that have actually started off on that journey. And while thank you, Keshav, you're giving me a lot of credit for it, but frankly, Future Skills is an industry response. The industry got together. Yes, NASSCOM facilitated it, but the industry got together and said, this is what we have to do. Few months back, we were in a retreat. They got together again, and they said, okay, we've come this far. Now, this, like, just training people on technology is not enough. We have to do technology and arts in order to have the right people for them. So, you know, this is Future Skills is the baby of the industry. It's the industry's baby, and we are taking care of it for them, right? That's how I see it. So I think talent is a huge thing, because India does have an advantage when it comes to STEM. We do have a talent surplus in STEM, and it's a huge strength. Now, if we can act quickly as the industry, and with some help from government, to turn that advantage into digital talent, I think we have a huge advantage over the rest of the world. Because talent is going to be critical. And I think the second place where India can definitely play a role in AI is thinking through inclusive AI. Because the kind of diversity we have, and I'm not just talking gender, India will have to ensure that whatever technology we bring in is inclusive. And I think that's another huge place where, another huge problem where India can take the lead.